Okay, so welcome to the stream, everybody. Uh, this is Lakvir. I am working on a Microservices project. It's basically for a project management software called Pinnacle. Uh, it is a outcome-based project, project management software that basically provides a very opinionated workflow and forces you to be in a zone, focus zone, and basically prevent you to um, focus on the distractions and help you to um, be on meaningful work only. So, for the demonstration purposes, we will assume that we have 10 million weekly users, and each user has 10 queries per day. And calculating the QPS based on that, QPS basically means queries per second. We're gonna have around 100 QPS, and if we consider the peak, then we're gonna have around 400 plus QPS for that kind of system. So considering the 400 plus QPS requirements, I believe that using the microservices architecture is ideal, and it will be beneficial for us in the long term. So that's why we are going to go with microservices architecture. The requirements are pretty simple. Everybody should be able to create outcome. Outcome is just like project, but it is very specific. It has a title, it has a deadline, it has a goal. Basically, which means there should be some metric unit and there should be some metric value. For example, project might be something like get 100 paying customers. So the metric unit there will be number of subscriptions or number of paid customers, and the value will be how many customers or how many subscriptions have you achieved so far, or what's your target. So for each outcome, we may have multiple drivers that will help us to achieve that outcome. So we're gonna have drivers table, and basically it will have outcome ID. That basically means um, which outcome that specific driver is associated with. Is that specific driver completed? Is it active? And what's the title for it? It's almost like an epic in the in the Scrum practices or in the Agile project management. Then we're gonna have actions or tasks against those drivers. So basically, they are just like tasks. They basically help you to define what needs to be done. It's gonna have title. It's gonna have is completed. Feels like that, right? So for now, I'm seeing that my screen capture is kind of frozen, so I'm gonna start the recapture, and also I am going to make sure the presentation presenter overlay is working. So it was stopped for some reason, so I just started that again. Okay, so this is the database schema, outline servers. So as I said, we're gonna have services, microservices architecture, and we're gonna use event-driven architecture for scalability. We're gonna use queues for background processing of um, heavy tasks, and the software architecture diagram explains many different things about our architecture. So user will go through Cloudflare CDN that we're gonna use for CDN management, DNS management, and it's gonna help us with the DDoS production, provide us HTTP2, and that will be helpful for us when we implement or use gRPC framework for our APIs, and we're gonna use Node.js and Next.js as a front end. and we're gonna use Go plus skin within our API gateway. So API gateway gonna talk to other services such as auth servers, user service, outcome service, notification service, data analysis servers. Most of these services utilize Nest.js, Node.js, and TypeScript, and database is Postgres for most of them. However, we are using Redis for cache queues and scheduled jobs. Um, we are using Kafka for events, and later on, if need arise, we might use ClickHouse instead of Postgres for our data analysis servers. So here I'm gonna fix the database collection. So BigQuery uh, is expensive choice for us, so we're gonna go with ClickHouse, which is simple enough for us and useful enough for us. Let me see why. Okay, yeah. So, okay, cool. So that's updated. So this diagram is pretty simple. So you can take a look on that. I'm gonna share the link for that within the description of the video. Tech stack, as I mentioned, we're going to use Golang, Gin, and REST API within API gateway. So we're going to expose REST API through API gateway, although we're going to use gRPC for most of our microservices. So we're going to expose REST API through API gateway, although we're going to forward those REST requests to the gRPC gRPC clients or gRPC providers, basically. Cool. So for notification service, we're gonna use WebSocket that gonna provide us the seamless notification service. We're gonna use socket.io for WebSocket implementation, and in the infrastructure, we're going to use Docker, traffic as a reverse proxy, Nginx as a web server, Cloudflare as a DNS service, and global CDN. Cloudflare R2 for the storage, and we're going to use Amazon Simple Email Service for email. And to keep things simple, we're going to use Hostinger VPS. I already have the Hostinger VPS purchased, and so we're going to just use that. For simplicity, um, for logging, we're going to use Locky, Prometheus, and Grafana instead of ELK stack, which is quite heavy and it's not required as of now. So this is API design. You can have a look on that when you got time. This is event storming and flow design, which is pretty simple. You can have a look on that as well. So I'm going to share that link. Um, okay, so actually you can see all of that within our GitHub repo as well. So I'm actually gonna share the GitHub repo link. So quickly um, let me quickly update the video description so that all of you can see the link for the system design doc and for the repo. Okay, so this is our repo link. I'm gonna put that in the video description. Okay, so it says you need to do the verification if you want to make the external links clickable. I'm just gonna put that link without making it clickable. So I guess that's fine for now, because to make that link clickable, I need to spend some time on verification, which is not really required as of now. Okay, cool. So now I'm gonna show you the project setup, and I'm gonna just continue from there. Okay, okay. So project setup is quite simple. If you wanna start testing it, you can just clone the repo, run makeup command, and then you just need to run few npm install commands and things like that, and later on you can just run these commands within different terminal tabs, and then you should be able to make the project up and running. So just to give you some overview, we have backend directory within our Pinnacle repo, and within that we have gateway directory, and which is basically an API gateway written in Go. So within that we have CMD, API, and main.go, which is basically a core file that is responsible for the API gateway. It's pretty simple. We are just using Gin as a framework. Um, we are using Google gRPC library for implementing the client for our gRPC API. We have um, implemented some middlewares um, using Marshallar that provides us the JSON structure for our API responses. We have some interfaces designed for API response, API error. We have codes middleware defined here, and we are basically implementing the gRPC through our um, libraries, and we are using protocol buffers uh, for implementation of gRPC client. Okay, so you can have a look on that um, when you get time. So basically, what is happening? All the requests that starts with API, they are going to be handled by a router that is defined using GIN router, and it basically forward the request um, to the gRPC protocol, which basically has some definitions for the REST endpoints as well. So, for example, this endpoint gonna forward the request to the create outcome method within an outcome service. So to keep things going and get started, I am gonna continue with continue with the development. Um, so I have run those commands within different terminal tabs. So just basically these commands. So here is our monolith service running. We're gonna extract the features of that within microservices later on. So our this one is our front end, which is basically running on localhost 3000. Okay, cool. And we have outcomes service running as well. So cool. So let's open the front end. So this is our front end. Okay, so let's first define the tasks in the tick um, task management, object management, UI. So first thing that we need to do right now is to um, implement the create outcome UI. So this will be our first task, and I'm gonna put that task on the calendar. So I'm gonna assign 45 minutes to it. And within that, what needs to be done? So first of all, um, edit the dashboard navigation link and select outcomes. Your link for easy access. And then what we're gonna do, create the basic HTML with wide fields of for creating new outcome. Integrate the backend for creating outcome. Test the form and see if outcomes is receiving newly created outcome. Okay, so for some reason, not sure why my screen is lagging. Really sorry, guys. I don't know what's happening. Maybe let me disable the presenter view. To minimize this section, I'm gonna Cool. So I guess it's fixed now. Hopefully. Cool. So now I'm gonna start with the work. Okay, so we have this, I have this project set up like that. So this is how the home page looks like, and now I'm gonna update the dashboard link. So dashboard link should basically, dashboard link should basically, what it should do, it should basically go to the outcomes for now. So to keep things simple, um, okay, so this is our piece of code which basically responsible for dashboard link. So I'm gonna change that here. So now it should basically take us to the outcome space. So this is our outcome space, and here we are basically showing the outcomes that we have created previously. So now here I'm gonna click on create outcome, and this is basically our outcome creation form, which is not how we want, because it doesn't have all the required fields. So the fields that we want to actually show here are, I'm gonna show you the postman request structure, and that should basically tell you what exactly needs to be sent to create an outcome. So I'm gonna close the tabs, and now I'm gonna click on create outcome. So the request structure looks like, we got user ID, we got title, we got why it matters, success metric, success metric unit, deadline. So we basically need to create the form fields that basically allow us to put all of these things. So now I'm gonna start with creating these fields, and to keep things simple I'm gonna remove the design and everything. Because I'm gonna remove the design as well to keep us extraction free. Okay, so we remove that, and now we're gonna add few things. Okay, these are simple enough. Now we're gonna add the padding, and gonna put that button in the new. Okay, so let me put that in the new block. So we need all of these because focus, it gonna force us to focus on the required things, not what doesn't matter. So outcome title. What else? What's the next thing? Why it matters. That gonna be why it matters. Okay, so okay, so we're gonna put that some style on that too. And we're gonna put some placeholder as well. Okay, and what next? Success metric unit, success metric value, and success metric unit. So then we need the success metric unit, and we're gonna remove that error. We're gonna add that field in the form data. And next, what we're gonna do, we're gonna need success metric value. That gonna be number. And then we're gonna need deadline. Okay, and what else? Then we're gonna need user ID, and user ID is what. So we're gonna need user ID, and that should be hidden field. User ID. In value gonna be so value for now we're gonna put that as so next we're gonna dynamically allocate that value, but for now just keep it constant so that we can easily pass that value. Okay, so next what we're gonna do, we're gonna remove these errors that I promised, right? So we're gonna have value. Deadline. eh, why it matters. So first thing for us is to check what is being passed, and for that we're gonna log it, and we're gonna call the return just to see what is being passed first before we actually hit the endpoint. Okay, so outcome title 800 paying customers. Okay, so it's giving the error that we are making some change that it's not liking. So what we're gonna do, I'm gonna create the function on change, and I can just copy that. Can I? Do I have that function? No. Okay. So let's just copy the on change. Yeah. So this is basics and basic function. Oh, actually, we do have utility for that. So I guess that's fine for now. We're gonna just go with what we have right now, and that is, so we're gonna put that as any for now, and Okay, so we're gonna set that as a undefined for now. Okay, just like that, we can take some help from AI too, Nothing wrong in taking help from AI, but not just let AI do your job. So get 100 paying customers on Pinnacle. We want to survive, right? And okay, so we're getting error, and let's see what's causing that error. We got the error. I see. So it should not be defined. What should it be? I'm wondering. 0? Maybe that's also fine. Okay, so the value is being passed properly. We're getting all the data that's required. So now we can send that to the API and see what it says in response. Okay, so let's call that. Okay, so it's good. It gives 400 error. It says validation error. Uh, so it's saying deadline and format is not correct. Okay, so let's go with the simplest approach for now.